Salvation depends on God's plan and can only be fully realized when we follow it exactly. So notice the promise of the judgment was exact. God's promise of judgment in verse 17. For behold, I will bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, in which is the breath of life under heaven. Everything that is on the earth shall die. That was exact. God said it, and other than Noah and his family and those animals on the ark, everything perished. Understand this, never doubt God's promises concerning anything, least of all judgment. The destruction of the world and all that was in it happened just like God said that it would. That's the message he was to deliver. That's the message he had received from God. Here's what's going to happen. Everything that's on the earth is going to die. There in verse 18, but the plan of salvation also was exact. So always you see God's judgment and God's grace in the same place. So not only was God's judgment exact, but his plan of salvation was exact as well. Notice verse 18. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark, you, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. Notice here, the invitation to Noah and to his family was to go through the door of the ark and they would be saved. You read over in Genesis 7 and verse 1, it says, Then the Lord said to Noah, go into the ark. Some versions use the word come there. He says, go into the ark, you and all your household, for I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation. Go through the door into the ark, and you will find salvation. Fail to go through the door and into the ark, and you will be destroyed. Now that word go or come in Genesis 7:1 is its first occurrence in the Bible. And that same emphasis of come there is used again at the end of the Bible into the ark to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female. Of the birds according to their kinds, of the animals according to their kinds, of the creeping things of the ground according to its kind. 2 of every sort shall come into you to keep them alive. Also, take with you every sort of food that is eaten, and store it up. It shall serve as food for you and for them. And then notice verse 22. Noah did this. He did all that God commanded him. Therein lies the secret, the key, if you will, to Noah's faith. When God told him to do something, he did it. He was a man who took God at his word. Never debated his instructions. He debate and disagree with God and say, well, surely, God, there must be another way to be saved too. Surely Jesus isn't the only way. Maybe Muhammad is okay and Buddha's okay too, and we can just mix all these together and it'll be okay. And Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me. Now think about that for a moment. He says, no man comes to the Father but by me. You remember when they were on the ark, how did they get into the ark? There was a door to get into the ark. You remember, if you read on through the story, that they didn't shut the door. God did.